side. So this is where I'll lay the gauntlet at. We just had Josina Anderson on, Exhibit News Network, senior NFL insider. And Josina was talking, we asked her about Shedeur, we asked her about the trade deadline, David Njoku. I got to tell you, I mean, I do think at 2-5, I'll tell you guys this real quick. I think at 2-5 right now, I think they tap the brakes a little bit on maybe some moves. You go into that bye week, though, you got the bye week coming up. That is 26 is on that Sunday. You're taking on New England, so that means you have about a week left for the trade deadline. I think a lot of guys, and 2 weeks left until the trade deadline. I think some guys could get moved. If you're 2-6, and you guys can roll your eyes all you want and go, when you're 2-6, Ken. Okay, guys, they got to think about it a little bit differently. If they're 2-6, and I need to see, David was out on Sunday, so what is his status? If he's back and healthy, can he be moved? That's going to be a conversation to have. But if you're 2-6, maybe some guys move. If you somehow win that game, again, your schedule opens up considerably.
Well, do you think they'd go from sellers to...
Not buyers.
Yeah, just
not buyers,
nothing.
Just maybe not sellers.
Well,
in
the
that
other thing
sense.
is, I think what the Newsom deal might have taught us is that it might not be all about draft picks. I mean, that trade, they sent a starter away for another starter who's looked pretty good so far. I know his numbers over the last few years have not been good, but he's been good in a Browns uniform so far already off the bat. So that's the only thing you got to remember. We always have the conversations about draft picks. I don't know. Maybe, they're looking about if they were trying to free up space for Harold Fanning.
I understand that. Well, I think that people look at draft picks, one, because I don't think they trust Andrew Berry and they think somebody else is going to be making those picks in the future. Okay, well, I mean, your legend precedes you. Two, let's see how Tyson Campbell plays. I mean, there's a couple media members. I ain't going to name names. Nobody's sitting in this room. They're convinced that it is something that is going to rear its ugly head where Tyson Campbell just isn't a good football player, and he's going to show you. Well, I'm telling you right now, so far, so good for Tyson Campbell. Obviously, fish in a barrel on Sunday. He was fantastic in that game, but we'll see how he works out in this defense because he's under contract for a couple of more years. So you could look at guys who maybe are non-fits in a offense or defense for other teams that maybe have some time left on those salaries, on those contracts, that maybe you can make a player swap if you wanted to with some picks. I mean, there's options for you. But I think it just comes down to this game on Sunday because you'll have a bye week and then you got to get ready for the Jets. Okay, well, the Jets is a game that you probably should win, so you should be 3-6 anyway before that, right? Right. Even if you lose. You're 2-5 now. Say after that you should be 3-6. All right, you're not out of it, but you're not in it at 3-6. So you got to make a decision for your future here. What are you doing? Because you got to figure out whether or not you're in or out. I think the Patriots will help you be in or out coming up on Sunday. So the trade deadline is not, I felt a lot of people felt fire sale last week, 2 weeks ago. They traded Joe, they traded Greg, and they still may be fire sale because I think there's a lot of contracts that they can move from. I mean, Ethan Posick is a contract that they can move from. I'd be so sad if Wyatt Teller had to go because I like Wyatt, I like his family.
Does it matter to you, forget just the win or loss aspect of it, does it matter to you if they lose, how they lose? Like if they just get blown out and it looks like they don't belong in the same field as New England? No. Because then that would be 2 blowouts in 3 weeks.
I understand that, but no. If they go out and they lose by a field goal against New England, 2-6 is still 2-6. Okay. You got to be pragmatic about this and go, what are we holding on to? Like the old college try effort's only going to go so far. So, again, 2-6, it's going to be tough to come back from. If you have to move on from Posick, if you have to move on from Wyatt, again, I'd hate it, but I can understand it. And, hey, I'll still like Wyatt and his family if he ends up playing for the Houston Texans, something like that. I don't know. I think Shelby Harris is definitely a consideration. I think he is. I'd like to see if they can work something out with Wyatt. And then David Njoku is obviously a consideration as well. So you got 4 names right there that you could possibly be moving on from. And I think that you go back to, was Ethan Posick hurt during the game on Sunday? Owen, was he banged up during the game? Because Luke Whippler worked in. Now, I know I think he worked in a little guard, but I got to check with Nathan first.
Well, and didn't they use Whippler in that tight end role too?
I thought they did. Yeah.
He checked in a lot.
Because I wanted to see where he was working in. Because I'm like, well, I don't want to draw conclusions from a football game for that, but Because I know they like Luke.
Yeah, they got him on
really
a field a ton because Njoku wasn't out there. So they needed that extra blocker out.
Now, the Zinter situation,
he was not on the field.
at least he's active. Wasn't he active?
Let's step forward.
We're moving forward. We are moving in the right direction. 216-474-0092. Okay, what she said about Dillon. If you go out there, and I think a lot of people are either A, wanting to get very defensive of Dillon, okay, fine. I can't talk you any further. You guys, if you guys want to get all worked up for me telling you the truth about Dillon Gabriel, fine. I guess I'll take your heat. Or they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not even waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think he's gotten a little bit lucky with some of the turnovers that he hasn't committed. Fair. But I think he's a career backup, right? If he goes out there and he looks bad on Sunday, and this is something we'll continue to bring up, I'm not going to beat down the next 3 shows over it, but if he looks bad on Sunday, I just want you to think, I think the focus starts to change, and we won't know. We can only speculate. I think the focus starts to change on his backup and whether or not he's going to be ready. Like, you got 2 weeks to stay, keep your head down, keep going after to get ready for this debut. Because I don't know if he's going to come out November 9th. I mean, I circled it on the calendar. I'm wrong all the time, right? You got 2 weeks there, extra work you can work in there, and then we're going to have to see. Because I don't think it becomes a question of Dillon Gabriel and them wanting to get away from Dillon Gabriel. I think it comes down to the trust of what they have early enough to go to Shedeur Sanders. That's where I think that comes into play. So my focus, if they go out there and they get hammered on Sunday, hopefully they win. We don't have to discuss it. But if they go out there and they get smoked on Sunday, I think my focus, Monday, there's going to be obviously some strong conversation. After that, I have to start to speculate and start hitting the phones about where his backup is. Because it's going to be evaluation time. It's going to be, let's see what you got here. That makes it sound, I have an interview tomorrow afternoon, and it would make it sound like I didn't want the person. I just hate when my texts don't go through on a Sunday afternoon. Got screwed over because of cell phone service. Thanks a lot. Not going to say who, but thanks a lot. All right, Tone, or all right, Owen, go ahead and hit it because Tone's got himself a thought on Wyatt Teller and what he said yesterday. Listen closely.
I'm just thankful that Coach, even though like we were talking about, had negative runs, he still was like, no, this is the plan we're gonna have. Unwaveringly, we're gonna relentlessly just run the ball, and I love it. Feel like that's the formula of success for this team. We have a great defense. Our special teams, great punter, great. We had a couple big plays yesterday where we got the ball out. I mean, it's just, if we can play like that every week now, I don't think we're going to get that many turnovers. And now that there was a bit of luck to that, but it was just like, that's how our team should have been playing from the beginning. And, we had a close, couple close games, but still, that was the win that, I felt that's the way we should have been playing all year.
That's Wyatt Teller in the Monday media availability.
Wait, should we have made a bigger deal of him saying that?
Make a big deal about it right now. You got time to make it a big deal right now. Make it a big damn deal. Go.
Because obviously that's a player on the offense who thinks we've been operating with the wrong attack to start out the year. I mean, he's basically questioning the coaching there, right?
Well, I think he's questioning the game plan to some degree, but also, Wyatt says what he means. So there probably is a little bit of what you're saying in there that's true. Also, I mean, hey, I'm sure it wasn't Kevin Stefanski's idea that Quinshon Judkins would be out for week 1.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If Quinshon Judkins were ready to go and able to run week 1, would they have used him more? Mm-hmm.
And who did they use? They used Dillon Sampson. And he had a nice game.
And he had a fine enough game, but obviously he's not what
your
Quinshon
number one
Judkins
guy
is. Exactly.
In week 1 of his career.
If Quinshon Judkins would have had a camp and would have been ready for week 1, would he have been used more in week 2? You're damn right it's fair. So some of this stuff, it's like, hey, you want to do it, but you're not very capable of doing so.
Now, with that
your
said,
offensive line around Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, and Joel Bitonio is, I'll be nice and say suspect, but you know what I think. So there you go.
Now, with all that said, is it a leap to have a takeaway that I'm about to suggest?
What?
Which is, I wonder if he wonders, had they have run the ball and stayed committed to the run earlier, that Joe Flacco would still be here, still be their quarterback.
I think it's a possibility.
And then things might be different here where they might actually be playing for the playoffs.
I think that's I don't know about playoffs, but I think that's well, maybe he's a player I'm not. He might be thinking that. Now, I may disagree and go, we're not being very realistic here, but players aren't known for being realistic. I don't think you really want players to be realistic. I think you want them to lie to themselves. he may feel that way, but go back to my answer I just gave. I mean, you wanted to run the ball. We knew what this team was set up to be. We knew we were going to be transitioning with some of the guys in the offensive line. I didn't think DeJuan Jones would be out for the season so early, but you knew you would be transitioning. And I said before, and they'll still probably, because you got 3 more wins, I think, on this schedule. You should have. That's the challenge to Kevin. Go find me 3 more, and we'll talk. But you had wins on this schedule, and I thought they're going to go back to trying to do what they did in 2020. Run the ball, ball control, get first downs, and it seems that they can do most of that with Quinn Sean. They can't do everything they did with Nick in his prime, but they can do some of that with Quinn Sean. But, man, you start the season off, you and I all felt so deflated when we had that report come out about Quinshon Judkins, and I know that he's been exonerated over the charges are dropped. But you knew the feeling that you had going, well, this is going to be a major problem for this offense, and now all of a sudden they're behind the 8 ball. Now, I'm impressed that he was able to come back so quickly and be a part of the offense so quickly. I'm impressed by that, but that's a major problem on your hands.
Okay, next, though, in the Steelers game, they couldn't run the football. Now, I challenged them to get more creative.
They stopped trying to run
the
football.
They did.
There's a difference.
But when they did run the ball, it put Dillon Gabriel in 3rd and long, and that ended very poorly.
But look at what they did. That they weren't able to do it. Cincinnati, they ran the ball. They dropped back almost as many times with Joe Flacco, and they ran the ball. They just ran the ball more effectively. Chase Brown got 108 yards on the ground, but he ran it 11 times. Quinshon Judkins ran it 12 times. It was almost the same. By a lot of means, it was almost the same game plan. Now, you could say, well, you don't have Jamar Chase, and you don't have T. Higgins. It should have been the same game plan. Perfectly fair and fine. We don't have those players. But I think that you look at these coaches, and you think that they believe that they know the system to the best chance you have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were going to focus on the run, bottle you up. Joe Flacco was the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. They were going to focus on the run first and see whether or not you were just going to force interceptions by throwing to Jamar Chase and throwing to T. Higgins. The problem is that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are too good. Jamar Chase is way too good. So you gambled and you lost on that one because it did seem to be that Joe can see the field and did have some magic. Oh, that's on Kevin too. That's on Kevin as well. That's on Joe to a degree, obviously, because he's the quarterback throwing, but that's also on Kevin as well.
So it was great that they were able to run the ball against Miami. That was coming into the game, I think, the worst rushing defense in the league. They still really had trouble freeing up some holes for Judkins. He had a lot of 1-yard gains, no yard or losses in that game. In fact, the overwhelming majority, that was the way. What is it going to be this week against New England, who prides themselves in stopping the run?
Well, I want to see, Drake May is an early MVP candidate. He also hasn't played that many good defenses.
Right.
So I think this could end, you've been blown out a couple times. It could end up being a bit more of a rock fight than we think. Fair? Now, about this run, this is where I think it could end up being for a lot of fans. There are some people who hold out, and guys, I'm not trying to make you mad with anything I've said about Dillon Gabriel over the last couple of weeks. I don't hate Dillon Gabriel whatsoever. Please go back and listen to the audio before. I'm just trying to tell you the truth, that's all. And sometimes the truth, I try to have a good bedside manner, better than the guy sitting over to my right, but sometimes the truth is tough. I think we could be having a very serious conversation about Dillon Gabriel, because if they're going to stop the run in New England, that means more is going to be on your quarterback. And every time our quarterback has been challenged, he's not answered it. That's why I say what I say about Dillon Gabriel. Now, it's early in his career. He goes out there and answers it on Sunday. I welcome the calls on Monday from the zealots of Dillon Gabriel. I know you're out there. I would love for that to happen. But he's going to have a hell of a challenge on his hands. We got the podcast coming up, 10:15 Eastern, 92.3 The Fan Extra on the free Odyssey app. I have something to say about the golden era of Ohio State football and what you are enjoying. That's coming up. Do you have anything about for the podcast?
We got a lot of movement in college football, and the coaching searches are just getting started, and it's leading some to wonder whether or not they need to reshape the entire way we do the finances of college football.